And how do you see like the market in like 2 years to come? I know everyone talks about bull market, bear market, but I want to look just technically on the Web3 security space market. There are also concerns about AI, that it's going to replace auditors. So how do you think the market will look like if we fast forward 2 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's better for me to, I don't want to predict anything, but I can at least say that there has never been a better time to build products. I mean, build applications on top of, say, EVM or other chains than today. The tooling is significantly better than what we had like a year or two years ago. I would encourage more people to like build. It's easier than ever to secure your contracts today. Like even by default, even before getting an external security review, we have a lot of tribal knowledge on how to secure smart contracts today, and all of this knowledge is often like freely available everywhere. And the tools we have today are significantly better than anything out there like a year or two before. It's easier to actually write a fuzz test in Solidity than most high-level languages we have today. So it's as simple as just adding a parameter, an extra parameter to your test function. And it's much harder to set up a fuzzing framework in other programming languages. So we have gone quite far in developer experience. Of course, it's not enough. I think everything has to at least get 10x better in the future for, if you want to like minimize all this hacks and all these issues. But I would encourage anyone out there to start building. And yeah, that's all I can say. I cannot predict the security space in the future. I think, well, when it comes to tooling, I have largely been disappointed by what we have today, and it doesn't quite serve the right people, in my opinion. So one of the things that I was surprised by initially was a lot of the top researchers, they barely use these tools that people recommend to the beginners. So I think there is a disconnect between the researchers.
What kind of tools you're referring to, by the way?
Like, so when you talk about security to someone who may not actually be hands down, deep into security, like doing stuff themselves, they would often say, okay, let's build some tools. Let's build their basic static analyzer, because that's what they do in like Web2 security. But I don't think this approach has worked so far. In particular, the security researcher that actually produces a lot of results, they use very minimal tools. They are not trying to run static analyzers as people would imagine they would be doing. They're not doing any of the stuff. They do very simple tools. And in my opinion, this is a failure. This shows that there's a failure in tools right now. And people are not building the right kind of tools. And I would encourage people to like look at it from a different perspective, try to understand what kind of tools can you bring to some of the best researchers, and that would actually augment their ability to find bugs. Because the current set of tools, they are not quite there yet.
Yeah, I agree that static analyzers can never, usually they don't find those advanced bugs. And I also posted on my YouTube channel a tutorial of how to use Slither, and I showed 2 examples how once he found a reentrancy bug, even in ERC77 tokens, and a bit like more different, not just the obvious reentrancy, and he also missed a bug considering signatures and replay attacks. So yeah, you can never rely on like Slither or static analyzers. But on the other side, you mentioned that we can do fuzzing pretty easily if it's with Foundry or Echidna or any other fuzzers, which is super cool. And it's also considered, in my opinion, tooling. Yeah, but I agree that security researchers usually don't use that many tools.
Yeah, I think that's a fault of the tools. I think the tools haven't nailed the right things. So I would encourage any tool builders to rethink your strategy. Because the current basic strategy of building a static analyzer is, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, haven't been successful. And Like if the best researchers use trivial tools, then the tools are actually not designed for them. So try to like, now here's like a startup idea maybe to people listening to this, like try to find what kind of tools would say Christoph's or Gerard's or all these people would use every day that would actually make them better at what they do, because they don't use a lot of tools currently in the market.
I agree. Mainly VS Code and Google. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.